There is a controversial tweet by Simon Ekpa, a Biafran agitator and the Prime Minister of Biafra Republic government in exile, who had earlier predicted that the Chief of Army Staff, General Lagbaja, would not return alive from his medical treatment abroad. The tweet reveals that the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, General Lagbaja, is dead. The recent silence on General Lagbaja's health status has fueled further speculation about this prediction. Simon Ekpa, in his controversial tweet on his verified X handle, formerly Twitter, alleged that the Chief of Army Staff, General Lagbaja, is dead. But the Nigerian Defense Headquarters, in a tweet, debunked the report and tagged it as fake news. They stated that the Chief of Army Staff, General Lagbaja, is still alive, healthy, and doing fine. But right now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed a new acting Chief of Army Staff. So if the current Chief of Army Staff is alive and healthy as the Defense Headquarters claims, why is he nowhere to be found? Why is the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian government hiding him from the public? And why did President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appoint a new acting Chief of Army Staff? The lack of transparency from the Nigerian government and the military has fueled rumors and distrust, highlighting issues of accountability, especially during a period of heightened security concerns in Nigeria. The media and public are curious about the state of General Lagbaja's health, which has not been disclosed, raising concerns and rumors. The Nigerian government and the Nigerian military have yet to provide updates or release a video of the general, despite growing demands. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has recently appointed Major General Olu Olaiya as the new acting Chief of Army Staff, causing extra confusion. Traditionally, the Chief of Policy and Plans, Major General Abdul Salami Bagudu Ibrahim, is the second highest hierarchy in the Nigerian Army. So why would President Tinubu ignore him and appoint his junior as the new acting Chief of Army Staff? This break in the chain of command has led to debates about military hierarchy and protocols. Before we continue, let's watch some reactions from the media.
Congratulations to Oluyede, the acting Chief of Army Staff. But the question is, why are we having an acting Chief of Army Staff when the military, a couple of weeks ago, came out to say that they have somebody already somebody that will, hold the fort for him. I think that was supposed to be the person in charge of, doctrines and thereabouts. I don't really know how that gamut was. And deliberately, the military, in fact, did come out to say that there was nobody that had been appointed in an acting capacity for General Taoreed Lagbaja. So the question is, why all of a sudden the president now appointing somebody in an acting capacity? And I think Nigerians would like to know this morning, what's the state of health of General Taoreed Lagbaja? The only side of the story we've heard all this while is that the president spoke to him, he said he's recuperated and all of that. Now they were putting somebody in an acting capacity. What is going on? Because if the military waited all this while and they said they were, somebody was already reporting as regards things, is it that the job couldn't wait again? And what is going to be the lot of this acting capacity? So for me, I'm even more curious about the state of health. And I think at this point in time, the military should also help us, probably with a live video or something. But, the question is, live videos in this country, you can speak all you want about them, but he said he's recuperated and all of that. Now they were putting someone in an acting capacity. What is going on? Because if the military waited all this while and they said they were, somebody was already reporting as regards things, is it that the job couldn't wait again? And what is going to be the lot of this acting capacity? So for me, I'm even more curious about the state of health. And I think at this point in time, the military should also help us, probably with a live video or something. But, the question is, live videos in this country, you can speak all you want about them, but it's not the real case sometimes. So I am more confused. It's supposed to be something that the military rank is supposed to be excited about in an acting capacity, but I'm more confused this morning. And I think Nigerians also deserve a right to be able to know the state of health of General Lagbaja this morning. So, and my phone had been ringing off the hook since yesterday. A lot of questions. And like you said rightly, there was a rumor going around that we debunked as fake news, that the military debunked as fake news. And we thought all of that has been laid to rest. But in all of this now, there's another new twist. When you're putting something in an acting capacity, we're really reeling out profile and all of that. So, is it that after reading our profile, when General Taoreed Lagbaja comes, this person will have to step aside? So, why are we in a haste? Or are we not sure what is really going on? So, this appointment has left me even more confused this morning. And I think in the coming days, the military should be able to give us, some clarity as regards it. Probably General Taoreed Lagbaja, we wish him the very best of health, but at some point, we should be able to get even a public address, I know you say, yes, he's not an elected official and all of that, but this is a military chief at a time when Nigeria is, going through a lot, security-wise. So we really need to know, and it's that level of accountability we need to know, so that if they give us this information, we'll be able to tackle many other sides of the story, saying all sorts at this point in time. But I must confess to you, all the way from Riyadh, Saudi this morning, with that news, when I saw it break yesterday, I'm even more confused, to say the least.
So Rufai is saying he's more confused, and in terms of how important, or the importance attached to that role, Chief of Army Staff, is why I thought the President decided to appoint an acting Chief of Army Staff. The person you're referring to was the Chief of Policy and Plans, Army, whom the Army in a statement had said that usually he deputizes for the Chief of Army Staff when he's either on official leave or is unable to attend an event. And so we saw that happen, and then almost a week later, we now see a substantive acting Chief of Staff. It points to a number of things. Number one, it probably points to the fact that the Chief of Army Staff is possibly going to be out for a much longer time than the end of the month that was projected. That's one. Number two is that perhaps the reason for him being abroad in terms of undergoing treatment might be quite a serious issue. And on that note, I empathize with him and his family, and I pray for speedy recovery, because no one wants to be, in ill health. So on that human side of things, I pray that he is able to recover fully and he comes back on duty. In terms of the transparency, yes, Rufai, and you've noted this right from the very beginning, and this is what gives room to speculations, where someone can then go on their X account and begin to speculate that perhaps the Chief of Army Staff has even, is no longer alive, which is quite sad, especially when there's no official statement from either the presidency, the army, or his family members. And that honor should be given to any man, irrespective of position. I believe that a man should have the right to his private to a certain extent, even as a public official. However, there are certain limits to that. So it leaves the challenge with this with secrecy is that it leaves a lot of room for for rumors, for unfounded statements, for people to begin to hatch plans that may not augur well for the country. Now, for the security of the nation, we've talked about how security is very critical at this time, and so that's why I do support this move for the appointment of a substantive acting chief of army staff. We know how things can go when it comes to hierarchy, who is giving the command, will they obey or follow, even though the assurance given to us earlier was that the army runs it runs in a disciplined manner, and they know who is the next in line. But let's see how this works out. But our prayers are with Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, and we pray that he is back on his feet and healthy and back to work.
Absolutely, Ayo. I would like to begin by wishing Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja a speedy recovery, and I hope that he is given the privacy that he deserves to go through the process he is going through and return back to duty. However, I'm glad you mentioned the word hierarchy, Ayo, because when we speak about military, hierarchy is paramount. Now, When the statement was made from Brigadier General Hassau, I believe it was, just about 10 days ago, concerning a potential vacuum in leadership in the army, it was said that army protocols dictate that the chief of policy and plans is the person who fills in any event that the chief of army staff is unavailable. Now again, in the spirit of hierarchy, that is the next most senior person after the chief of army staff, and that is Major General Abdul Salami Bagudu Ibrahim. So the question is that if an acting chief of army staff is to be appointed, why is it not the most senior man in line, the next man in line? Because remember, in the military, hierarchy is paramount. That's how the military works. It works with order. However, the commander-in-chief has chosen Major General Oluyede, who of course is also a very well-decorated officer by all means. But the question is the Major General Abdul Salam Bagudu Ibrahim, who is more senior to him in rank, now supposed to take orders from somebody who is slightly more junior to him? That's a question, because that doesn't happen. It's more or less blasphemy in the army. So I'd love for that to be clarified. Another thing that was stated in the statement from the army last week, and I quote directly, that contrary to speculation by certain media outlets, let me read the whole statement. It said the Defense Headquarters wishes to clarify that it has not announced the appointment of any senior officer as the acting Chief of Army Staff, contrary to speculation by certain media outlets. For the record, no such appointment exists within the armed forces of Nigeria. End quote. That's a direct quote from the army. So why are we now creating army offices that don't exist? Because according to the army, I quoted them, there's no such thing as an acting chief of army staff. So those are some of the questions. But of course, we've already highlighted the security situation in the country. So maybe that's why the commander-in-chief has felt that this is an extraordinary moment in history, a peculiar moment that needs such an intervention.
Now let's dive straight into this story. Just like a story with all the unfolding drama, uncertainty, and suspense. So picture this. Nigeria is going through a pretty tense period. There is talk of political instability, rising security challenges, and people are on edge. Now, in the midst of all this, Simon Ekpa, a well-known Biafra agitator and one of the leading voices of the Biafra movement, drops a bombshell prediction on social media. He makes a bold claim predicting that the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, General Tareed Lagbaja, won't return alive from his medical trip. Now let's pause here. Think about how unusual and intense this is. It is not every day that you see such a bold public prediction about the fate of a top-ranking Nigerian military official. And this is coming from the one and only Mazi Simon Ekpa, His Excellency and Prime Minister of the Biafran government in exile. A person who is not just any figure, he is a controversial character, someone that is very vocal about the Biafra movement, which has its roots in a decades-old struggle for an independent Biafran state from Nigeria. His words carry weight, at least among his followers and some in the public. So naturally, people start talking, some with skepticism, others with curiosity. Time goes on, and this statement doesn't just fade away. Instead, it lingers. Weeks pass, and there is no official word from the Nigerian government or the military concerning the health status of General Lagbaja. Not a single update, no photos, no videos. You know how in today's world, when something big happens, especially concerning prominent leaders, we often get updates and official statements almost immediately. But here, there is just silence. And in the absence of information, people do what people always do. They start to speculate. Rumors start to spread like wildfire. Is Lagbaja really okay? Is he dead? Is he still alive? Is there something the Nigerian government is hiding? These questions began circulating all over social media, especially online, fueled by Simon Ekpa's tweets and his followers who are quick to amplify the silence as proof that something is amiss. Now, Simon Ekpa, sensing this growing wave of curiosity, decides to double down. He takes to Twitter once again, this time not just making a prediction, but stating outrightly that the Chief of Army Staff, General Tariud Lagbaja, is dead. According to Simon Ekpa, his earlier prophecy has come to pass. He's not just hinting anymore, he's speaking with absolute certainty. And this declaration, as you might expect, only adds fuel to the fire. Let's zoom in on the atmosphere for a moment. Nigeria, with all its regional tensions and recent challenges, is in a state where trust in government institutions is already shaky for some. Many Nigerians are frustrated by a perceived lack of transparency and accountability, especially when it comes to matters involving the military and the security forces. This environment makes people more willing to believe there might be something being kept from them. Meanwhile, the government and the military remain silent. The official channels, no tweets, no press release, no video of the general saying, "I am fine." And as this silence stretches on, it is like adding gasoline to a fire. People begin demanding answers more vocally, wanting to know where the Chief of Army Staff is, if he's okay, and why the government won't put these rumors to rest. Then, amidst all this, a rather unexpected development occurs. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria President, has appointed Major General Olu Olaiya as the acting Chief of Army Staff. Now, usually, if a Chief of Army Staff were temporarily unable to serve, it would be the Chief of Policy and Plans who step in. In this case, that would be Major General Abdul Salami Bagudu Ibrahim. But that is not what happened. Instead, President Tinubu bypasses him and chooses General Olaiya as the new acting Chief of Army Staff. This break in protocol raises more eyebrows. People familiar with military structure and those keeping a close watch on Nigerian politics start debating what is currently going on. Why appoint Olaiya instead of following the traditional hierarchy? Is this an emergency measure or is it a deliberate move? This decision adds another layer of mystery. To some, it seems to confirm their worst suspicion that something serious has happened to General Lagbaja and that the government is hiding it from the public. The questions keep coming. Why hasn't the military made a statement? Why hasn't anyone, not even a spokesperson, appeared to reassure the public or clarify what is happening? The situation feels surreal. Some wonder if this silence is intentional, a way to avoid sparking more tension or panic. But if that is the case, it seems to be having the opposite effect. The lack of clear communication just makes people even more anxious and mistrustful. Meanwhile, journalists and media personalities are also puzzled. They have been asking for updates, trying to get statements from official sources, but they are met with silence or vague answers. This silence, instead of quelling the rumors, stirs up more speculations. Without a clear response from the government or the military, people start crafting their own narratives, which can be even more dangerous. Some people have argued that if the government were to address the situation head-on, it could actually reduce the speculation and distrust. After all, if General Lagbaja is indeed unwell but alive, showing him on a video or having him make a short statement could go a long way in dispelling the rumors. But every day that goes by without any update, it is as if the silence itself confirms people's suspicions. This whole situation shines a light on a broader issue that Nigeria has grappled with for a long time. Accountability and transparency within the Nigerian government and the military is shaking. In a country where security concerns is high and the people rely on the leaders for stability, the lack of communication can feel like a betrayal. It is as if the people are being kept in the dark about something they have the right to know. And here we are in this strange limbo, waiting for answers. On one side, you have Simon Ekpa and his supporters who insist that they have been vindicated, that his prophecy has indeed come to pass. On the other hand, you have the Nigerian government that seems almost frozen, unable or unwilling to provide any clarification. This silence, whether strategic or accidental, is creating a sense of uneasy that continues to ripple through the country. So that is where things stand. It is a story filled with misery, tension, and a lot of unanswered questions. Will the government eventually break its silence? Will General Tariud Lagbaja appear and put these rumors to rest? Or is there truly something more going on behind the scenes? Only time will tell. But for now, Nigeria remains caught up in this web of rumors and speculations, waiting for someone to finally step forward with the truth. So the question the public is asking is General Tariud Lagbaja, the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, dead or alive? If the Nigerian government and the Nigerian military are claiming that he's still alive, they should show us his picture or video. No, they should show us his video and confirm to the world that the Chief of Army Staff is alive. So right now, it has been confirmed that the tweet of Simon Ekpa has finally come to realization that truly the Chief of Army Staff, General Tariud Lagbaja, is dead, and the Nigerian government along with the Nigerian military are hiding this news from the public, even from the media. This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye for now.